From fans being extremely unhappy with how The Flash Season 9 is going, to Grant Gustin revealing a much darker direction he wanted the show to take. Here's why Grant Gustin wanted The Flash to die. In a twist that no one saw coming, the Flash superstar, Grant Gustin, revealed that he initially wanted the 9th season of the show to have a super dark ending. The 9th and final season of the show is about to wrap up within a month, and fans are going crazy with theories about how the show's gonna end. But if you're one of the people who thought that the red superhero was going to die, then you're in luck, cause it's not happening. However, Grant, the guy who portrayed this awesome character for 9 freaking years, has claimed that, in fact, he did want the superhero to pass away. In a recent interview with TV Line, Gustin talked about the show's ending.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors out there for a long time, and no one's come out directly and asked me, ever, on the record.
When he was asked whether he was happy with the show's conclusion, he had a super interesting response. He stated that he always imagined that the Flash would die a hero's death. You know, the whole Flash missing vanishes in crisis article we see from the first season of the show. Plus, because of that article had such a massive impact on the storyline of the show, it also made sense that fans expected the Flash to die as well. However, despite all those theories, it seems like this isn't happening, and Gustin actually understood why it ends the way that it does. Here, take a look at what the actor has to say. When I thought about the ending, there was a theory out there that Barry would sacrifice himself to keep the Speed Force alive. Gustin also stated he would become the lightning bolt that inevitably struck him and create this full circle. I always kinda wanted him to die a hero's death. However, Eric Wallace, the showrunner, got in the way. He was not happy with this idea and was quite opposed to it. That kinda makes sense, cause what's the point of getting the ones to absolutely adore this one character only to kill them off in the series finale? Tragic endings don't usually bode well with most fans. Grant also mentioned how everyone running the show was obsessed with Barry and Iris, and that everyone wanted to see them get the happy ending that they deserved.
I think a better question is what took so long.
You all right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm fine. I feel a little lightheaded.
Gustin mentioned that when the fans revisit how the show actually ends in the future, they're going to like it. He also mentioned that it's super nice to finish on a happy note. However, being careful as to not give everything about the ending away, Grant claimed that there's a bit of the unknown in the way that the show ends. He also mentioned that even though the show ends, the story continues. In other words, the show will end on a note where it'll be possible to continue the story if DC feels like it in the future. Well, thanks for the spoiler, Flash. But here's the thing, this still isn't a sign for us to relax and be happy that it'll end on a good note, because the show's ending represents something much darker. It represents the death of the wider Arrowverse franchise. Think about it. The Flash is currently the only CW series that's set in the Arrowverse. Now, I know when I say this, y'all are thinking about Superman and Lois, but what you've got to remember is the fact that that show takes place in its own separate reality. So it's not really linked to the Arrowverse like the Arrow. In other words, this show's conclusion will mark the death of the Arrowverse as we know it. But nonetheless, Gustin has insisted that the 9th season will deliver a fitting finale for the Arrowverse, and that it'll bring back as many legacy cast members as possible. So on that note, let's talk about everything we know about the show's ending. Now, the CW hasn't shared too many details, but considering Grant's comments and a few leaks here and there, we know a few of the plot points. Cause of set photos and videos, there's speculation that there's going to be a major speedster war, and according to rumors, it's going to be the infamous Red Death. What's going to be super interesting to see here is how the showrunners bring this character to life, because in the comics, Red Death is a corrupted speedster version of Batman from another universe. Now, someone like that would definitely make a super cool villain. Plus, at the same time, what you've got to remember is that the CW superhero universe hasn't shown the guy across any of its shows. Maybe they were saving the best for last. Point is, if this happens, it'll make for an awesome fight. However, that's not all. Turns out, we might see him go up against multiple speedsters. Yep, in the final episode, Team Flash might go up against 5 speedsters. That, of course, would include Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar, Godspeed, and Red Death. But based on speculation, we could also see Cobalt Blue. Now, Team Flash could possibly go up against these 5 speedsters, but that isn't the only problem they might be facing, because for the 9th season, it seems that the team is being sidelined. Now, most DC Comics heroes work alone, you like Batman. But with The Flash, the CW took a team approach. Like, yeah, Grant's character is still the main guy, but he's nothing without his teammates and some other metahumans. Even then, as the final season goes on, we see Barry Allen turn to a bunch of rogues instead of his own team. Now, there's no need for me to name every awesome member of Team Flash and talk about how vital they are to the whole thing. But the point is, he's still got some amazing people behind him, yet 3 ex-criminals who are now reformed are called in for every fight, known as the Rogue Squad. Pied Piper, the Hotness, Goldface, and for a brief period, Chillblaine are the ones that are summoned to fight Red Death's rogues. Don't get me wrong, they're still awesome characters, but why are they here? Why is there a need for these guys when we've got amazing people right there in Star Labs? Plus, come on, it's kind of weird that Goldface's partner Amunet wasn't called in either. Wonder who Katie Sackhoff annoyed. On top of everything, Allegra and Cecile have been sidelined too, and this is a problem, because both of them have these amazing abilities, yet they're not doing anything. In the 8th season of the show, both kind of leveled up, and yet so far Allegra hasn't used her powers more than once. Cecile, on the other hand, had a cute moment where she saved her daughter, but that's about it. Even then, she was knocked out for the rest of the episode. Truth be told, one should not be able to count just how many times the main characters have contributed to a win on one hand. And then on top of everything, instead of focusing on their superhero abilities, Chester and Allegra have been stuck in a will they won't they romance. Now, if this happened in the earlier seasons of the show, it would have made perfect sense, really. But right now, considering both the characters are kinda new, this whole thing is stunting their development. Then we have the case of Cecile, who's just been distracted thinking that she'll have to leave the city and her job as a superhero to keep her kids safe. Like, okay, yes, both storylines have concluded, but did we really need to waste 5 episodes in a super short season on this? Especially since the characters could have been moving the entire story forward. That's not even the biggest problem though. But the main issue with the entire season is Keone. Going from a smart, kind, caring Caitlin and a powerful hero like Frost to someone who is going to literally a few weeks old is just not it, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, Keone is incredible since she's so compassionate, but as a team member, she's quite useless. Later on, that could change, but we'll have to wait and see. That's all as far as the ending is concerned. But despite all this bad news, folks are hopeful that since the Flash won't die, we could eventually see his story move forward. But there's a problem with that, and that's the Flash movie. Considering that the movie is coming out just a month after the series finale, you'd think that it would have at least a cameo from Grant Gustin, right? Well, no, the Flash movie will not have a cameo. And that points to something problematic. That shows us that this movie is more about Batman than the starlet speedster himself. The movie will adapt one of the most famous comic storylines, Barry Allen going back in time to save his mother. But the fact that it includes multiple Batman actors and just one Flash actor shows that it won't really be about the superhero himself. It also shows that there's not going to be a connection to the CW show, so Grant Gustin's Flash story might actually end with the series finale. Don't just take my word for it. Grant Gustin himself claimed that he wouldn't be appearing and that he wasn't contacted about a potential appearance either. So from Grant Gustin revealing a much darker direction he wanted the show to take, to the fans being extremely unhappy with how The Flash Season 9 is going, this was everything about why Grant Gustin wanted The Flash to die.